Wasn't the most prettiest win for the Knicks, but regardless, they get it done. Sunday night against the Portland Trailblazers as they win 110-93. Mikal Bridges and OG are the beacon of consistency. And to break them down a little bit, I'm going to break this down from the main stars of the game being OG and Mikal Bridges to the other parts that were key. One thing that's been a blessing in disguise throughout this entire stretch without Jalen Brunson, the Knicks are now 7-5 without him. As much as there have been games where the Knicks have needed Jalen Brunson, and there would be games where Karl Anthony Towns is the main guy, and there has been a lack of support, lack of bench scoring. Tonight, coincidentally, was one of the only most recent nights that I remember that the Knicks bench actually outscored another bench, which is, I would consider that an improvement. But regardless, throughout the 7-5 stretch without Jalen Brunson, the one beacon of consistency, the one beacon of hope, has been OG Anunoby. I'll start with him, and Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns. Towns didn't play well tonight. 10 points, 4-3 from the field, and 1 of 2 from 3. Defensively, he wasn't great either, dropping back too many times in drop coverage, or at least dropping back too far. Shot wasn't going down. And you look for those performances to where he could really step up and be that 1A guy. It's not a huge thing against Karl Anthony Towns. I'm just pointing out that he struggled tonight against a really bad team that I really thought he could have taken advantage of. But I think it's also fair to say that he wasn't put in much of a position to succeed. It's not like the Knicks running pick and rolls with him. He wasn't being utilized as the main option. But I'll tell you guys who at least two guys that were being ran as the main option were. That was OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. I know I'm repeating their name, but both finished with 28 points tonight. We'll start off with OG Anunoby. 2 of 5 from 3, but the thing that gets lost in OG Anunoby's game is, he's a great three-point shooter. He's really efficient from the corners, all that. Great. Last year you saw a little bit of creation in his game, especially from coming off screens into the mid-range. You saw that. You're seeing him finish better in the paint with a bunch of Euro step moves. You're seeing him chase down balls in transition, open dunks. I think he leads the Knicks in dunks. He has to be a top player in the NBA in dunks overall. OG Anunoby expanding his overall game, obviously with the huge contract he got. $42 million a year. A lot of people question. Most of them were casuals, to be fair. Like, wow, OG Anunoby's not a star player. He doesn't deserve $42 million. Paul George does. Funny, because I see OG Anunoby's contract working out even better than Paul George's. Because last time I checked, the Knicks are in the playoffs and the Sixers are not. Regardless, OG Anunoby finishing in transition, finishing at tough finishes at the basket with contact, driving to mid-range jumpers, pull-ups. At least we're trying to hope for this consistency in the playoffs. Because when Jalen Brunson gets back, it's all hands on deck. Brunson said earlier today that he hopes to get back before the postseason. That's the hope. And boy, do the Knicks have a gauntlet before the playoffs. They play the Sixers on Tuesday. That's not really a hard matchup. The Sixers are out of it. You have the Cavs. You have the Celtics, two of the top teams. There's some other teams in there as well. They're not easy takedowns, especially that the Knicks are still in a tight race and still have yet to clinch the third seed. They'll most likely be facing Milwaukee, but again, it hasn't been clinched yet. We clinched the playoffs, but the third seed hasn't been clinched yet. And if we see any type of OG Anunoby's play that we saw in the Indiana series last year in the first two games while he was healthy, boy, oh boy, will the Knicks be a scary contender. He was phenomenal tonight. And his growth without Brunson, I'm going to keep saying it, without Brunson has been phenomenal. And you can only hope that a coach like Thibodeau sees this and says, hey, you know what? Let's give OG a little bit more on-ball opportunities. Let's see what he can do while Brunson has the ball in his hands. And one of the things that I've stressed is creativity in the offense. It doesn't have to be all Brunson. You're seeing it with OG Anunoby. You're seeing it with Mikal Bridges. Obviously, Karl Anthony Towns is your two guy. Mix it up a little bit. Don't let it all fall on Brunson. Don't let Brunson carry the weight. Give these guys the opportunities to succeed. Put them in position to succeed. OG Anunoby has been in positions to succeed of recent, and he's done a terrific job. So is Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges, although I'd say, didn't shoot as well as we thought from 3, 2 of 6. He was doing a great job coming off of pick and rolls. Blazers were constantly in drop coverage with Donovan Clingan, and he was burning him through the mid-range. He was cutting to the basket. He got to the line twice, at least once. Had 7 assists tonight, and he's not your playmaker. Usually it's obviously DeLon Wright was the point guard tonight. He's not your lead facilitator at all. I'm sure there are moments where he is the lead guy, but it almost seems like, in my opinion, when he's the 2 option out there, if he's running behind somebody, like if Karl Anthony Towns is, shooting the ball really well and he needs a Robin to his Batman, obviously with this being Brunson out, Bridges will score. Bridges will take over. And I talk about consistency, and Bridges hasn't been consistent this year. I'll be the first one to admit that. With some of the defensive lapses, some of the really bad shooting nights, some with the kind of lackadaisical energy out there, he just felt it tonight. And for some reason, it's him against the Portland Trailblazers that just lights a fire under him. And you hope, as I stress again, that and my biggest thing was that without Jalen Brunson and through this final stretch of the regular season, that this starting lineup would try to come together and gain some chemistry. Josh Hart, we don't know if he's going to be in the starting lineup moving forward without Jalen Brunson. With Jalen Brunson. OG Anunoby is, Mikal Bridges, let them get into a flow offensively. Make Jalen Brunson an off-ball weapon. Put as many weapons around Jalen Brunson as possible. Make the spacing as good as possible. With Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby as not only defensive, but two-way threats consistently. And to be fair, this has to be against the better competition. We need to see them step up against the Celtics and the Cavs and all these different teams. The Blazers aren't the bottom of the barrel, the worst team in the NBA. But perhaps they're at least been a better unit this year, especially defensively. All we're asking for from our wing stop is consistency on both sides of the ball. And lately, without Jalen Brunson, they've been a beacon of hope and beacon of consistency. But Josh Hart, I thought his game tonight was so-so. There are moments where he was in transition, finishing tough layups, playing the passing lanes, doing what he's supposed to, grabbing those extra rebounds, grabbing those boards. But there were also some bad moments tonight where he was drifting away from the perimeter. And I would say his worst stretch was probably towards the end of the first half and early in the second half when Portland really started to go on a run. And what scared me was, and I've mentioned this several times about the spacing aspect, they basically played Josh Hart like he was a center, like he was a non-shooting center, because he'd be out to almost about the three-point line, handing off the ball to Mikal Bridges. Duop Reith or Donovan Clingan would be far back in drop coverage. Sure, they would be burned by Mikal Bridges, but they can converge on Mikal Bridges because Josh Hart's not a threat to shoot. There are times where Josh Hart shoots with confidence. There were times tonight where he shot with confidence. There are times tonight where he didn't shoot with confidence. There has to be some sort of consistency there if he's going to remain in the starting lineup. Tonight was a good mix of Josh Hart and a little bit of a bad mix of Josh Hart. But if you want to get to the most surprising aspect of the Knicks win tonight, it's the bench. And I'll say real quick another starter that I didn't mention, DeLon Wright. He had 7 points tonight, 1 of 2 from 3, 3 of 6. Had a somewhat decent game against Milwaukee. Portland, I thought he held up his own tonight. But to go to the bench, Tibbs went 4-man off the bench. Tyler Kolek, he didn't score a point, but he was also a +9. Landry Shamet, kudos to him, man. I've been hammering on Landry Shamet because of his lack of consistency, because of how undersized he is, because of his lack of shooting, Basically, him being cardio out there. It almost feels like at times where if he's not shooting the ball, he's basically useless. But tonight he was useful. 3 of 9 from the field. 3 of 9 from 3, 4 of 9 from the field. 11 points, plus 22 on the court. Massive. And again, I talk about the beacon of consistency. That's going to be a theme. We need these guys to get right just in time for the playoffs. And it's no better time to do it than now. With Jalen Brunson hopefully on the return, Knicks are going to need as much support and much ammo as possible, especially also with Cam Payne and Miles McBride out. It's next man-up mentality. That's all I'm asking for right now from the Knicks. And tonight was a great example of that. Tyler Kolek had 3 assists. He was a +9. And I think one underrated thing of Tyler Kolek's game, I don't think he's played bad defense at all. I think he's been very smart defensively, very instinctive. Is he jumping out into the passing lanes? No. Very smart, keeping his eye on the ball, seeing ball and man. He's always moving his feet. Give Tyler Kolek credit, and he wasn't seen as like a great defender coming out of college. And a lot of people pointed to his benching as for most of the years, like, oh, well, he doesn't play defense. I would actually disagree with that. I think he plays some solid defense. Will he be this great defender? Who knows? I don't think he will be. But when he's out there, he runs an offense, and he plays smart defense. And he plays well off the ball as well. It will be only a matter of time before that shot starts to fall. Precious Achiuwa had some good and bad as well. He was a -2. 10 points, 5 of 6 from the field. And another unexpected scoring outburst. Precious Achiuwa, I think, dunked on Duop Reith in the second quarter. Finishing in transition. He did have 2 turnovers. Well, that's to be expected. But you're looking for as much support and much scoring off the bench as possible because you need to give these guys a rest in the starting lineup. Credit to Precious. I'd say this is one of his better games down the stretch. Just need more consistency from him. You're not going to be seeing him shooting threes. He should stop really drifting out to the perimeter because nobody's going to guard him. Just be in the paint. Be in the paint. Run pick and roll, I guess. Have him throw up some floaters. Just stick to your game. Don't play outside your game. Only 11 minutes tonight for Precious. But Mitchell Robinson also had a great game himself. I would say a really good game himself. +19. His impact was felt defensively. 2 points, okay. But 2 blocks. Really nice rim protection moments. His rebounding was felt. His defensive presence was felt. And Josh Hart, I think, even said after the game, Mitchell Robinson in the back, it's kind of like with him in the paint, I got you, bro. And it allows something I said, I think in the first half recap video, I said with Mitchell Robinson coming back, the Knicks can play more aggressive coverage. And when I talk about more aggressive coverage, the Knicks obviously play mostly drop. Karl Anthony Towns remarked after the game, hey, listen, I have an imposing body. I have imposing size. I can play more aggressive coverages. I mean, especially with Mitchell Robinson on the floor, that can be done. I just want to see Tibbs do that. So, this wasn't the greatest win. The Knicks were down big. Not like too big. We're talking about 11 points in the third quarter because the 3-point defense was really bad, and that's been the bane of the Knicks' defensive existence or prominence, their 3-point defense. That obviously needs work. I don't think I really got to say it. But creating turnovers, 3-point shooting from OG, scoring from Mikal, bench scoring, defense locking up towards the end, those were the keys to the victory. And I'm praying this is, I'm going to say it again, last time, beacon of consistency, moving forward with Jalen Brunson and into the playoffs. Well, without further ado, this has been Luca here from Knickscast. Hit the like button, folks. Hit the subscribe button as well. Turn on that notification bell so you know when I go live or drop a new video. Otherwise, it's been great talking to y'all. I will also say real quick, I will be doing a live stream Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Knicks Sixers. I'll be joined by Dylan Backer of Empire Sports Media. Fireside Knicks. I'll put out the graphics sooner or later. Otherwise, catch y'all later. Let's go Knicks.